Okay. So got it. And I think faculty was joined. Shivteja, Pranay, then Frenil is there. Then Yogita has joined, and Anvesh said he will join. Varun and Raghu, probably they said they'll try and join. So let me wait for Varun and Raghu for a minute. Just a sec. Okay, let's start off, guys. So we are here today for discussing how students can actually attempt the December 21 CA Inter exams. And this session is intended both for repeaters and first timers. Can I first actually get a check on how many are repeaters? So there's a small button here called reactions. So whoever are repeaters, can you click on that reaction and raise your hand? I'll know how many are repeaters. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I actually think then we have an equal mix. We have an equal mix of repeaters and first timers. So let's proceed with that. So we'll cover aspects that are relevant both for repeaters as well as first timers. Now, before we start off with the session, guys, one thing that I want to highlight to you is today is 22nd of September and exams start on 6th of December. Right. So we have exactly 74 days. Okay, if you include today, right, 8 days this month plus 31, which makes it 39 for October, and then you have 30 for November, which makes it 69, and then you have 5. You have so 74 days plus today is 75 days. So some of you might be having doubts whether the 70 days is good enough time, or is it possible, or this time unfortunately results are delayed, so we have shorter time for preparation. Please believe me, 70 days is sufficient. Whether you are a first timer or repeater, from a first timer perspective, I am pretty sure that you would have completed good amount of syllabus already. From a repeater perspective, I'm pretty sure that you've already covered subjects to quite a bit of depth in the last couple of attempts, one attempt or two attempts, whichever you have done. So believe me when we say 70 days is definitely sufficient. And please think of it this way: we have 10 to 12 hours of study hours per day that you can effectively study. So 70 days into 10 to 12 hours, you have 700 hours. That is a lot of time. So guys, 700 hours is available for you to study, and it is definitely possible for you to attempt this. So before you think of how, when, why, what, those are all subsequent questions. Answer is yes. Yes, it is possible to write, clear, and get extremely decent marks. Okay, so that is the first thing. So before we start off, I think I'll respond to a couple of queries. See, we are awaiting Varun. He teaches income tax, so he's will probably join. And Satyaragu is is traveling, which is why I don't think he'll be able to join. He said he'll try and join via phone, but I'm not sure. If he's not joined so far, then I don't think he'll be there. But we have other faculty. We have Suraj, we have Frenil, Anvesh, Varun, then we have Yogita, as well as Shivteja. Right. So we have other faculty who are available in probably any of the other sessions. We'll check if Raghu's probably can join us. So that aside, before we start off, right, I just want to tell you the structure of this particular meeting or conversation. First, after saying the word yes, right, where yes, next 70 days preparation is possible, I'll probably speak for another 5 to 7 minutes, where we'll discuss about some of the key things that you can do or you should do in the next 70 days. And then we'll have faculty highlighting certain issues with respect to their subjects for a couple of minutes each, and then we will completely throw the floor open. We want you guys to talk. Right. One point I want to highlight is this is not a doubt clearing session. Please don't ask, a doubt on where, in that topic, in this, that something, what is the change? I am not able to understand. No, this is not a doubt clearing session at all. This is more a session on approach, how to write the exam, how to succeed in the exam. This is not a session for small, little things. So please note that. We are not doing a session for every small thing. I know that small things add up and, eventually that's what you get marks. But this session is more about strategy, more about your preparation, and more about how you're going to spend the next 70 days preparing for your exams. Second thing, what I want to highlight is when you have this next 75 days, please, and this is a request, if you want to succeed in exams, irrespective of whether your old syllabus, in which case is the last, or new syllabus, guys, please.
Meeting
guys, so somebody is talking, please mute yourself. Okay, so just coming back to the point I was making, you have 75 days. Please note, you have Dussehra, Diwali coming in between. You guys have to sacrifice those days. You cannot say that I will celebrate Dussehra for 9 days. I will celebrate Diwali for 1 week. And then I also say that I have only 70 days. And then also say that, eventually I'm going to pass the exams with flying colors. You cannot have everything and, eat it. You cannot have the cake and eat it too. There's a saying in English, right? So you have to learn to sacrifice. If you have seen any of the videos of our All India Rankers interviews, what we have done over the course of last 5-6 days, people have sacrificed for years together. All India first ranker used to wake up at 3 a.m. Okay, there are people who used to study whole night till 3. Okay, and we are asking you for 70 days, and it is not for me, not for anybody else. It is for you. You have to prepare. You have to write the exam 70 days later or 74 days later. So please take out this entire Dussehra, Diwali celebration out of your mind. Only if you are, those things are out of your mind and you are willing to dedicate 10 to 12 hours, believe me, it is possible. Otherwise, answers will always be very, very, iffy. Probably possible, not possible, and all of that. If you say that 74 days are fully available, yes, 100% your success is possible. Okay. Next point, what I wanted to discuss. In this point of time, yeah, we will also be conducting a separate doubt clearing session independently. So for now, please don't raise doubts in this. The point I want to highlight is in this 74 days, in addition to sacrificing Diwali and Dussehra, you have to sacrifice social media. You have to sacrifice your Instagram. You have to sacrifice your Facebook. You have to sacrifice your WhatsApp. You have to sacrifice your Snapchat. There are some people for whom they can have everything and then also succeed. There are some people for whom it is not possible. Yes, this is for CA Inter. Somebody is asking, is the session for CA Inter? Yes, this is for CA Inter. You guys have to sacrifice all this social media, which are all distractions. These distractions have to be sacrificed. Without sacrifice, you cannot achieve things. Guys, 74 days, you have to write each day on calendar. And on each day, you have to mark what you're going to do, how you're going to do. Only then you'll be able to achieve what your desired, target is or goal is, or what is it that you want to achieve. You can achieve your dreams only if you're willing to sacrifice. So please note, this is something very, very important that I want to communicate, that you have to be willing to sacrifice. This is the word I'm going to repeat often throughout today's conversation. Next, what I want to highlight is examiners' comments over the course of last 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. If you see examiners' comments, what are the top 4 comments? I mean, they've always been the same 4 comments. They've not changed at all. The 4 comments are: students don't have conceptual understanding. Students don't understand the question that is being asked. Then students make silly and conceptual mistakes, silly and calculation mistakes. And the 4th one is students don't know how to present in exams. Okay, so if these are the top 4 comments for last, if you can probably, if you go to 2000s, 1990s, even then I'm pretty sure this will be the examiners' comments. So you have to take care that these 4 aspects, understanding the concept, understanding the question, making proper calculations, and presentation in exam, all 4 you have, you are willing to take control of yourself and control of your examination, how you're going to write, by keeping these 4 things in mind, or how you're going to prepare by keeping these 4 things in mind. And how can you do that? You can do this by writing mock tests. So last 3 years RTPs and last 3 years suggested answers and questions, please write in exam environment. That is the most important thing. Everybody thinks, especially repeaters, they have this mindset. I know this, I know this, I know this chapter. Let me move to the next chapter. I know this. Let me move to the next chapter. They'll keep on flipping pages. Okay. Flipping pages will not get you anywhere. You have to write exams. You have to take mock tests. Please, one of the All India rankers said he took 4 mock tests for each subject. 4, not even 4, 5 mock tests for each subject. 40 mock tests he took in overall. Okay, in 70 days, I am sure you can't take 40 mock tests, but you can definitely take 2 to 3 mock tests for sure. Please attempt last 3 years RTP. Please attempt last 3 years, suggested answers in exam environment after finishing your preparation. Have a certain set period, right? We said 74 days. That means 730, 740 hours. 740 hours means at least 80 to 100 hours for each subject. Minimum 80 to 100 hours. Please divide that time for studying and have some time for mock tests. So have 5 hours or 6 hours or 10 hours, some amount of time out of the 80 to 100 hours, take out 10 hours time and prepare for subject for balance 90 hours. And in those 10 hours, write the exams. It is very, very critical, right? And please also go through ICAI mock tests, which are going to come up in the course of next few days. And if you are already students of Indigo Learn, we have our own mock tests. Please use those mock tests, attempt the mock test. And some of the important points that I want to highlight, we ran an examination survey. Sorry guys, just a sec. I'm just connecting myself to the, one
so I think we can continue without the video, Sriram.
Yeah. Am I visible?
Still, I think you can talk forever.
Yeah. So one of the things that we figured out was that everybody wants ranks, but nobody is prepared for the rank. Half of the guys, not half, 70% of the people who wanted ranks, right? They have not even finished 50% of the subject. How is it possible? It is almost like everybody is building castles in air. Mujhe ye bhi chahiye, I want this, I want that. Everybody wants everything, but nobody is willing to put in the effort. Okay, so we have actually published the results of the survey on our news and updates, particular tab on our website as well as app. Please look at that. Everybody wants the best possible outcome, but nobody is putting in the work. When I say nobody, please don't take that every single person. 80 to 90% of the people are not putting in the effort. Okay, 90% of the people who want ranks are not prepared for the rank. Only 10% of them are prepared for ranks. This is very, very unfortunate. And you have 74 days. Please make sure you complete the syllabus.
And just to add on to that, not only for rank, people overall, when we ran the survey, as on today, when the survey was run, only, about 30 to 40% of people have completed around, more than 50% of the syllabus. So syllabus completion is very, very important. You cannot do last over batting. You are not Dhoni who can come in the last over and hit a 6 and win the match. You have to start immediately. You need to start with a plan, prepare gradually. Don't think that last 1 month I'll finish it off. No, nothing is to be kept for the end. Okay. Yeah, Sriram, please continue.
Yeah, sure. So that is one aspect that we want to 100% highlight. This is not a T20 match. We are playing a test match. CA is not T20. A lot of engineering students keep telling that, they studied 1 day before the exam and passed. Believe me, you all, if you are know that this is not correct. And if you are first timers, we are clarifying it to you that it is impossible to study for 1 day, 2 days and then pass the exam. It is absolutely impossible. Okay. So please don't have such kind of misconceptions that you'll be able to clear the exam in a matter of, by studying for 5 days, by studying for 3 days. If you do that, it will not happen. Okay. That is next aspect that I want to highlight. Then, we have launched a study planner. I don't know how many of you are aware. You can use that to plan your studies. You can select, your level of confidence subject by subject and then figure out which one suits you, which one doesn't suit you. And then, you can plan for it. Then, one more thing, what I want to highlight is specifically for, people who are, who are writing again, right? You have to identify your strong areas, both in terms of subjects as well as in terms of topics. If you're not able to identify what are your strong areas in terms of subjects and topics, you will end up, doing everything all over again, which is not the most desired outcome. You have to necessarily identify what are your strong subjects and strong areas, and only then proceed further. So it is very, very important that you do that. Okay, then last point before I hand over to other faculty, actually last 2 points. One is every subject, right? Every examination paper has 50 to 60 marks that is easy to score, and including MCQs. You have some subjects have 30 marks MCQs. If you concentrate and put efforts on that, believe me that 50 to 60 marks is easily possible. If you know what are these, in each subject, you go and check any paper, right? You go and check any of the past papers and just have a cursory glance. 50 to 60 marks is for an average student. And I presume most of us are average students, including me, including a lot of the faculty. We are average students. For average students, it is possible. It is 100% possible. Okay. Then next point, what I want to highlight is, if you want to know what is the mark weight, which kind of questions are asked in the exams and all of that, we have conducted enough YouTube live sessions. Please go to our YouTube channel. Students who are already part of the course, we have added those videos as part of the course. So they are available in our app as well as website. Go through them and see whether you are able to figure out how much, what is the marks weightage across various topics. Okay, so these are the points that I had to highlight to you. The key words, please note: sacrifice, 10 to 12 hours a day. Yes, 100% possible for next in the course of next 70-75 days. Then conceptual understanding, understanding the question, calculation mistakes, presentation in exam. Every exam has 50 to 60 marks for an average student. And no to social media, no to World Cup, no to IPL, no to movies. Sacrifice, and nothing in life is for free. Okay, and mocks. These are the things that I want you to take back with you. Mocks. Write as many exam papers in exam condition as possible. Minimum you have to write 2. Maximum you can go up to 4. I don't think in a 2.5 month time frame you can write beyond that. So these are my summary of whatever I had to say. Now I'll hand over the session to faculty. So first up, whom do we have? We have Shivteja. CA Shivteja. He teaches for GST. So Shivteja, over to you. Please, give a 2 to 3 minute overview on what are the key things that you want to highlight for students who are preparing for your paper, and we'll take it forward from there give it to other faculty one after the other.
And you can also fill in for Varun, because you also teach direct taxation. So you can also add that, because Varun could not join, right? So
no problem. I'll take care. Hello, my dear friends. Good to see you all at this time. And I'm sure who are all preparing for December 21 attempt. I mean, it's always a system where we say May 21, November 21. Of course, we have got 1 month extra time because of various reasons. But with all due respect to the repeaters who are writing the exam next time, the first thing what I tell you guys is that the kind of mistake which happened in the previous attempt, ensure that those things will not repeat this time. And when I say will not repeat, first of all, you have to identify very clearly what was the area where the mistake has happened. And that's very, very important. And especially when I talk about my subject of taxation, I'll fill it as taxation, because in absence of Varun, I'll call it as taxation, which covers both income tax and GST. IT is the GST part. So one thing is very clear, this tax subject is one area which is very scoring area. Of course, every faculty say that the subject is very scoring, that's always said and done. But you guys are the students who have scored 80s and 90s in your schooling and intermediate, and now we are talking about 50s and 60s. And I'm sure it's not something which is a big wonder or something which we can't do it. That's definitely gettable, but which requires the right amount of strategy, planning, and beyond anything, execution of the plan which is made. The problem in life is all about, we do the right planning, but when it comes to execution, a lot of hurdles keep coming into picture. But my point is very clear. It's very important that you overcome the hurdles and ensure that you reach your milestone. And when it comes to subject like tax, especially in the November attempt, or I mean to say December attempt, always the focus is there very much in terms of the amendments which come in the exam. So it is very important and very vital that you learn the amendments very clearly and ensure the intricacy of the amendment. Because always when you look at your RTP revision test paper, you get a couple of 2-3 questions on the amendment itself. And those things will repeat in the exam. More or less, out of 100 marks paper or 120 marks covering the optional question what is given to you, you get some good amount of 20% weightage given to the amendments. So this set of amendments is very important. And I say in my language that a chartered accountant is a student, and including a chartered accountant, if we don't amend ourselves, we'll depreciate a straight line method. Keep my word. So it is very important that you amend yourself and at the same time update yourself. Because when I was a student, one statement which my faculty told me stuck to mind so much that even today, even after 10 years, I don't forget that. He told me one line, it's very important that you update. If you don't update, you will outdate. That statement has keen in my mind that especially for a subject like tax, I ensure that updation is very, very important. So ensure that you focus on the amendments and don't miss out any point. Especially when it comes to this GST, which is a 40 marks content or 100 marks paper, it's very much possible to score the 25, 30 marks is very much possible to get. And when I say that it's possible to get, the right preparation is very important there to get that score. Here, I would like to add one very important point. In fact, last week through Indigo Learn, I also had an interaction with one of the All India ranker. The first prima facie point stated by the All India ranker was very clearly, the thing what I've done is I moved out of my addictions, what I had, be it social media, be it fast-moving environment. In this environment, we have so many options, what not? See, the days are such a manner where we have got so many options like WhatsApp, Twitter, Instagram, whatnot. So many things are there which are ready to divert us. So it is very important on us. We ensure that it won't divert our path. That's very important. And one thing which I really want to highlight very clearly to all my dear students is that don't do a selective study. Never ever opt for it. Because especially a subject like us now where we have got multiple choice questions in the exam, ISA has been very keen, even a small point is being triggered as a multiple choice question. So never ever dare to do that selective study, because I get across a lot of students saying that I have done 70% of the preparation in such a wonderful manner, 30% are left by choice. It's a human tendency or whatever you call it. When you go when you are driving your vehicle, if you just tilt your path thinking that that lane is little empty, the moment you go there, the traffic will increase. In the same manner, here in your preparation, if you do a selective study and leave a particular topic, take my word, that topic questions will come. So please don't do a selective study. Any topic question can trigger in the exam. Never ever do a selective study. Of course, I do accept to the fact that there could be some topics where you have mastered the topic and some topic where some topics you have not mastered it, but ensure that you don't do a selective study and ensure that you do it perfectly. That's my primary advice which I give to my students, especially for this tax subject. Don't do a selective study at all. Cover all the areas. Any more queries we can discuss during our open discussion. So I'll leave it to other faculties from now on. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Next, we can move to Pranay. Pranay, you can give an overview for the cost and management accounting subject.
Yeah. Hello, friends. I hope all of you are doing well, and you are bang on with your preparations. If you are not, I think it is time that you should become really serious about your preparations. We have enough time, and I would say we have more than enough time to be able to crack, even if we start now. It's never too late, and it's definitely not late at this point. So before we actually go to some of the points relating to subject, what I would want to tell here, it's a very important thing, is that whatever you think in your head, you're right. If you think you can pass, you will pass. If you think you cannot, then unless you change what you're thinking, your results won't change. So the first and the foremost thing, so whether it is costing or whether it is any subject, the first and the foremost thing is your belief. If you're afraid about a subject, and if you're trying to approach the subject with that fear is definitely going to kill you. So first things first is just keep your fear aside. You say, okay, I believe that I can and I will, and you start with that confidence. Automatically you will overpower the fear that is there inside you, and the moment you start believing, definitely the results will come out positive. So that is one thing which I would want to really emphasize upon. If you think you can, you will, and if you think you cannot, then who can do it for you? So change your thought process relating to that. And secondly, what I would say is, please have the confidence and visualize on a daily basis the day of the result. So you visualize the kind of happiness and fulfillment the sense of, happiness that you, your family and everyone is going to have on the day you see the positive result. So if you visualize that day, automatically all your efforts will, go in that direction. And even if you want to waste your time, probably that visualization will not let you do that. All right. And, while most of the other faculties are saying, you will have to sacrifice something, they are 100% right. But what I would want to say is you keep your daily targets. And if you fulfill the target for the day, then maybe a 15-minute or a 20-minute, break and doing what you like would not really hurt. But provided you are, working hard for that day and you have achieved your target. So it is not that, you do not complete your target for the day and then go to social media or do whatever you like. So first priority is always this. If you have done that, then probably you can, go do the other things. Then as Shiva sir rightly said, see, in case of repeaters, it is very important to understand what went wrong. Because if you don't change your ways, then definitely the result also will not change. So there has to be, something different that you will have to do in order to get a different result. So probably, it could be maybe, you did not practice enough the last time, or probably you did not, go through the amendments last time, or probably you did not do the RTPs last time, and because of which you did not, clear. So you need to, each one of you, you'll have to self-assess as to, what you missed out last time. And definitely that has to change. Only if you change that, then your results will automatically change. And what I always felt is there are students who are brilliant. So there are students who are toppers in their schooling, 10 plus and all of that. And only such brilliant students usually opt for a subject like CA. But when we come to CA, we, all of a sudden realize that, we are facing a situation where we are failing in life and we have never encountered failure in life. So, what I would want to tell you here is we fail in CA not because we don't have skills. We fail in CA because we lack discipline. So if we are committed and if we are disciplined, even a below average student, trust me, all of us here, all the faculties will agree that they have friends who are below average, but who are committed and who are disciplined, still manage to, come out in the first attempt with flying colors. And people who are extraordinary in their schooling, they have failed because they do not have the commitment and they do not, do the basics time and again. In schooling, we used to write unit 1, unit test, half yearly, quarterly, and so on and so forth. But then when it comes to CA, there is no one who is checking on us. Our parents probably don't even know what are the subjects that we are, reading. So they also don't have a check on us. So it is only your own discipline that is going to help you to get through this. So stay committed, stay focused, and there is nothing. You don't need extraordinary skill set. You just need dedication in order to, clear this CA examination. So I can vouch for that, and all of us here will agree. I'm sure about that. Now, coming to costing, what I would, suggest is most of the students read a practical subject. Now, how can you, read a practical subject? It is something that you need to practically do it. So maybe, you can do it in a rough manner, but always have your pen and paper in hand. Always, have your calculator in hand. Don't try to glance through or read through. When you're glancing through the solutions, when you're preparing, everything will seem right. But when you don't have the solution in front of you, and when you actually, pick up the pen and paper, that is when we will realize, what we know and what we don't. So the biggest piece of advice that I can give you for all the practical subject is, look at the question, read the question, try to solve it on your own without looking at the solution. And trust me, it is okay not to be able to solve the question in the first attempt. If you are not able to solve the question, it is a good news. Why is it a good news? Because you precisely will realize which are the topics or which are the areas or which are those adjustments which currently you are not able to solve. And these are the particular adjustments which you need to, work upon. So what I used to always do is, whenever I used to come across a solution or a question where, there is something difficult, I will make an inventory of such points. I will pick up a different, book and probably write down that question number, write down what exactly I was not able to understand or not able to solve in the first go. See, my belief is if you are able to solve a particular thing, in the first go while you're preparing, there is 150% chance to solve that even in the examination. But if you are getting stuck solving something unless you work on that, the chances are you will still get stuck during your examination. So those are the areas which you focus. You make an inventory of such questions, or you highlight such questions, make notes about these points, and just focus on those points. Automatically your preparation will improve. And on the day before the exam, when you have limited time, obviously you cannot solve all the questions. You just focus on these problem areas, because believe me, in practical subjects, if you are able to do it the first time, you will be able to do it throughout your life. So you should not waste your time on those points which you are already knowing. Just focus on the things where you are getting stuck, those adjustments, those concepts, fine tune them, work more on that, solve more, and automatically you will be able to master that subject. And I will totally agree with Sriram. There are at least 60 to 70 marks in every question paper which are made for average students like you and me. If we stick to our basics, those 60 to 70 marks no one can take from us. And rather than worrying about the balance 30, 40 complicated, difficult part of the subject, focus on the 60 marks. Even in the examination, try to attack those 60 marks first and then look at the complicated part. So that will really help you in boosting your confidence and mentally taking the entire examination in a better way. So those are the few important points which I would want to share as far as preparation and the mindset is concerned. And in my view, the battle is won before you enter the exam hall. So your preparation is half battle won. If you enter with confidence in the exam hall thinking I have already passed it, you have passed it. So writing the exam is just the smallest part of the entire thing. The mocks you give, the preparation you do, the mindset you cultivate, those are all battles which you have to win before actually writing the examination. So, with that, I will again hand it back to Sriram and Suraj to take it from there.
Yeah, so thanks, Pranay. Yogita, can you just pitch in with your thoughts on the subject and overall approach? Then we can have Pranil and Anvesh. I'll be talking less today because I have some tooth issues.
Hi, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Yeah. So it's really good to be here with you all. It's so good to meet you. So before I start, I have to tell you this, that you have to keep a notebook with you because there's a lot of really good points that are being thrown at right now. Okay, so this is basically wisdom thrown at you. We all have cleared the examination, right? So everything that is being told, it is something which is tried and tested. So instead of trying to discover the wheel all over again, I think you should just take down the points, understand where you're doing wrong, what is the mistake you're doing, and then just implement it, right? So I'm going to just take 5 minutes, okay? And in 5 minutes, I'm going to brief you about my subject, which is corporate and other laws, right? And I'm going to tell you basically all the points that you have to make sure that you do, all right? So this is basically all the execution points that I'm going to be telling you, right? Now, this is definitely going to be difficult. Nobody told you that it's going to be easy, okay? But it is simple, okay? That means the steps are laid out, okay? So you just have to basically ensure that you do all of these steps right. You plan your studies, right? You do all of these steps that I'm going to be telling you, and then your chances of passing are way too high, all right? So let's just take down these points now. The first thing is you have to ensure that you do 100% of the syllabus, right? So in law also, it's not like there is no ABC analysis as such. Every chapter is covered, every topic is touched, all right? So in the last attempt also, we did not expect, but from the first chapter, which is preliminary, which has a lot of definitions, from that chapter 11 marks portion came, right? So you can't expect that, but suddenly it happened, right? Similarly, we all expect that charges, which is chapter 6, it is always going to come, but it did not come this time, right? So that means what we understand is every single chapter is covered. So you have to ensure that you do every single chapter. 100% coverage is your responsibility, right? So when you're going to start reading it, with respect to law, what happens is So the language is very difficult for the first timer to read it. The language is difficult. So what do? You read it, you understand, you try to understand why there is a concept like that, right? You try to interpret it, and then you jot down the small shorthand notes of it. Okay, so that is important. Although we do have notes on the platform, which are very good notes. All right, so I've created them. So you have to make sure you either check that or you create your own notes, right? If you think there's something you need to add on to those notes, make that, right? Do that. So you have to read the language, understand it. Whatever keywords you find, you have to jot down in the notes. Whatever limits you find, you have to jot down. Whatever penalties you find, you have to jot down, right? And simultaneously you'll have to solve the questions also. Okay, so now in the examination, study mat questions are most often these days, at least, they are being asked. So after every single chapter you have also many questions. You have to make sure you do every single question in every single chapter, okay, in the study material. That is something you have to do. Write it down somewhere. It's your duty that you have to finish this, right? Apart from that, there are, as Shri Ramji just said, we have to do RTPs, right? So that is again something, what happens is that questions are directly put from the RTPs also. If you're lucky enough, 1 or 2 questions without even changing the figures, without even changing the names, they're going to be directly coming in your examination, right? So you have to ensure that at least 2 RTPs you do. Okay, again, that's your responsibility, right? Apart from that, you also have to make sure that you do at least 2 past exam papers, right? If you just go in the examination without having any idea how the paper is going to come, then it's going to be very difficult for you to just have that mindset, right? So it's important you see the past exam papers, you see the suggested answers. Okay, see, it depends on your time. If you have enough time, of course, do that writing practice. Okay, sit for 3 hours. But let's say your time doesn't allow, then also make sure at least 2 papers mandatory. Okay, so that is something which you have to write it down. It's your duty to do that. All right. Okay, apart from that, we've discussed note making. Now, see, conceptual clarity is something which is a point which is like covered although, but still make sure, I would like to repeat it, you have to have conceptual clarity. See, what happens is, when you're going to start reading these new subjects now, or even if you've read it 1 or 2 times before, or even if you've understood them on the lectures, when you're going to actually read them, you will feel like every single point is important, and you will probably want to cram everything up, right? Because you're scared, because you don't know if you're going to remember it or not, and this might happen, right? So it's very important that at this time you don't try to mug up everything from the very beginning, but it's important that you identify what is the concept behind the topics, right? And then apart from that, you have to create these notes which you have to revise again and again and again, right? Okay, so coming to the next point, 3 revisions as in 3 readings. Okay, this is something you again have to do, so make sure you write this down also, right? So before the examination, you do the first reading, you do the same thing again. Okay, so if you've created those shorthand notes, you do that, right? And then the third time again, you have to do it again. Okay, so what is going to happen with this is, just before the examination, because you've read this already 3 times, it will be easier for you to basically scan through the entire, all of these topics all over again. And just before the examination, if you have touched any topic, okay, then you are going to remember it in the examination, irrespective of your past preparation, right? So you have to make sure 100% revision is done till your before your examination, also just before that in 1 day. Okay, so for that you have to keep revising. So 3 revision is again one thing you have to note down, you have to do it, right? Apart from that, see, in company law also there are some amendments. Okay, so they're not, they are there, right? So they are in every chapter pretty much there are amendments. Penalties have been changed. In your chapter number 9, there is section 135 which has been changed. Chapter 792 section has been changed. Basically a lot of amendments are there. With respect to that, the notes are already there on the platform. You have to check them out. Okay, now these amendments are important, of course, because the questions are going to be thrown at based on these amendments, right? Similarly, in this entire law subject also now, a lot of the penalties have been changed in this attempt, right? Now, a lot of the students have this difficulty, there are so many penalties, should we learn all of these penalties and all of those things, right? So see, if you try to mug up all of these penalties, it is going to consume a lot of your time. We don't have that kind of time. We have to basically do all these subjects, right? We have to divide our time into all of these subjects and we have to revise them, right? So here's what is advised: at least those penalties that are amended in this attempt. Okay, specifically the important section penalties, right? Like we have section 134 penalties, we have charges chapter has penalties, section 92 has penalties, right? So those section penalties is something which you still have to remember, because for with respect to that, we have questions in RTP also, plus their amendments also, they're kind of important. All right, so you have to make sure that at least important penalties is something which you try to remember. All right. Okay, so I think I've covered most of the points. Let me just go through it once. Yeah, and also in the examination, see, presentation is pretty much important, right? Especially in your law paper, because it's a theory paper, right? So you will be asked case-based questions. and accordingly you will have to answer. You don't just have to mug up, and you just don't have to reproduce. So there is a part of it you'll have to specify what is the provision, and then accordingly you'll have to do the analysis as to how that provision applies to the given case, right? And then you will have to state the conclusion. So the presentation is important, right? So please try to focus on your presentation also. With respect to presentation, again, on the channel we have some videos which we have uploaded. Also in the course also there are a couple of videos that have been uploaded, plus also there are case study questions that I have solved, right? So in that also I'm discussing presentation of the questions, right? So presentation is very important. You have to make sure that you do it. Why? Because even if you know the concept but you're not able to write it so well that it looks professional and that the examiner wants to give you marks, he's not going to give you marks, right? So we have to earn those marks, right? So that is something which again you have to make sure you do, and so please write that down also. And yeah, and I think I've covered all of these points, right? And see, all of this thing that I just told you, know, it's too much, I know, but you have to take up the pressure, okay? So just make sure, like, okay, so everybody is smiling. All right, so see, whatever I just told you, you've written it down. It's going to be a little bit of a pressure for you, but let's just face it, we all have faced the pressure, okay? So you also will have to take up the pressure, okay? If it feels too much for you, try to push yourself, try to take baby steps, okay, and try to improve your performance. You'll get there, right? So yeah, I think that's it from my side. We can head on to the next faculty.
Yeah, so I think next Anvesh can take it. Anvesh, request you to give insights on EIS and keep it brief.
Thank you, Sriram. I'm going to talk about only in relation to EIS. Now, when we talk about EIS, it reminds me of looking at Chinese people. They're not being racist here, but everybody looks similar. So in your examination also, you will look at the question and all the question will look same. So the trick is you need to write and practice. Okay. So in EIS, the trick is not to know the answer. The trick is to know the questions. Because you will read the study material and you feel that you know everything, but in examination hall, you will be all confused. Where is ITCG coming from? Where is information technology control coming from? First thing is understand the question. Second thing is you need to write and practice. All the practical subjects, they say you can't learn accounts just by reading it, you need to do it. Same thing goes with EIS as well, because when you just read and practice, you feel that you know all the keywords. But what you write in an examination hall is something which is very basic and you will not get marks for basic. So write and practice. The third thing is you need to have a timetable as told by other faculties. Okay, so if somebody says I read 18 hours a day, and if you want to do that 18 hours, but next day if you get up and say, oh, yesterday I read for 18 hours, so today I'm going to take a break, don't do that. Even if it is 4 hours a day, 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day, you understand your strength, have a timetable, stick to it on a daily basis, you will feel good. The next one is, this is most important. Trust your books, trust your faculty. Okay. So even we were a CA student, so I know a normal tendency is right before the examination, there are going to be a lot of faculties putting a lot of videos, marathon EIS for 7 hours, marathon that, marathon this. Avoid all these marathons. If you have taken class, if you have studied, trust it. Don't go to experiment in the last month of your examination. The book what you have, maybe the book which Institute has provided you, or the one that we have curated and given in Indigo Learn platform, is more than enough for you to get very good marks. Okay, you can score more than 70, 80, or even more than 90. So the takeaway is trust your books. The books what you're reading is enough. Okay. Then whenever you're watching the classes, make notes. Okay. So most of us, we feel that we can remember everything, but no, none of us are Rajnikants. So write down the examples right next to that particular point and revise constantly. So revision is the key. Read the same book 10 times, you will get more marks. Okay. Rest of the things other faculties have covered. If you have any questions, you can ask at the end. I'll be more than happy to answer. That's it from my side.
Thanks, Anvesh. Thanks a lot. Frenil, FM and ECO.
Hi. Hi to all faculties and dear students. I guess we have come to the end of this journey for December attempt, that's CA Inter. My only concern is that my paper is the last paper. And last paper has not only the mental pressure, but also the physical pressure, because you are on the 16th day of your extreme study sessions, right? One day after the other. So on the 16th day, you are mentally exhausted, and mostly, people just try to, just do as much as possible, that actually puts them in a lot of physical stress. And because of that, a lot of students are not able to write it effectively. And let me remind you that your last paper is the one which gives you the peace for the next 2 months until the results come. That is how your mental peace will be decided on your last paper. If it goes good, you'll be like, okay, there is always hope. It's good for me. If it goes really bad, then you'll go into that negative trip for the next 2 months, which is certainly not good for you. Now, why most people fail in economics? It's only because they ignore the topics. A lot of people, it's not only my paper, it's common with EIS, SM, and economics, and all these small topics which are usually ignored by the students. They do not allot. Just because you like accounts, just because you like costing, you keep doing costing and accounts. I don't have anything about accounts or costing, but what I'm saying is you like to solve that, so you keep on solving it and you don't give much attention to the other topics, which is not right. In economics, you don't have to be as confined to the the vocabulary as much as you have to be in auditing. In auditing and law, you have to use certain words and you have to be in line with the textbook. But in economics, it is not so. And in economics, let me tell you that the recent amendments which have come will become most important for not only for December attempt, even for the next 2-3 attempts. That amendments will become very important. 10 to 15 mark will definitely come from the amendment part, and rest of the part, what you have to do, watch the classes, right? Watch the classes and look at the notes. The notes is more than enough what I have provided you. And if you open the textbook, you can see that most of it is nothing but from the textbook, but is in the shortened version. You will have to concentrate on that end and you will have to do it. So, see, don't do always about, don't always do what you like only. Sometimes you have to do the things which you don't like also. Now, probably some of the subjects in studying economics, when you get to the 3rd chapter, probably you start getting bored. Is like, what's happening here? I don't like to do it. I don't like to watch it. Don't say that you will just do it on your own, not watching the classes and all that. Please don't do such mistakes. Remember that you're all in a race. Okay. So you will have to complete it no matter what. And after 74 days, after your exams, there is no use regretting or there is no use thinking about it. So whatever you will have to do, you have to do in the next 74 days. The strategy is very simple. Concentrate on the practicals. Even for the FM, it is the same thing. FM, you will have to concentrate on the practical part of it. And in economics also, you concentrate on the practical part of it. That will cover most of the paper. Entire 100 marks paper, it will cover most of it. That is, the 75 marks will be covered in that. And rest of the theory parts are applied theory, which are given in my notes. You will have to study that, and that will definitely make you pass. So I wish all the best for your preparation, and I yield the discussion, the moderator. Sridham, over to you.
Thanks, Pralin. Thanks a lot.
I would like to add a couple of points before we open up with the our students. One thing is, as you prepare, for a lot of us who have already written this examination and we could not clear, there would be this issue of not able to start, because you have already prepared for so many number of months and results have not been in your favor. You'll find it difficult to start. And let me tell you this, it is a fact and there's no harm in that. You need to acknowledge that yes, it has been difficult to start, but then how do we start? How do we start the preparation? So there is this thing around, take up smaller topics which you are comfortable with, and where you can consider, okay, I have completed one topic, whichever subject it is, whichever you find comfort with. Start with that so that you get into that positive mindset. It is very, very important to change from a mindset of I could not clear, it was, I did all my things in the past, I could not clear. Yes, that will be there. If you want to set the tone right for the next 74 days, what you need to do is take up those topics, take up those subjects where you had some comfort, start preparing on that so that you get some amount of confidence. We call them small wins. So these small wins, as you get used to those small wins, start increasing your target, start taking up the tougher topics and start the preparation. That is one thing. Second thing, what Pranay told, I want to re-highlight that. I also followed same strategy. If at all any question has a specific trick or amendment or adjustment which I don't understand or which I could not understand, make a list of it or mark it in your notebook or mark it in the textbook so that before the exams you run through those adjustments. Because If that adjustment comes in the exams and you are aware of the trickiest adjustment in the question, rest all will be similar. Go back and check, especially for the practical questions, go back and check. They can only ask so much. The list of adjustments that they can ask is limited. They cannot create new adjustments. So if you have gone through the last study material, last exam papers and all of that, most of the things you will be able to address. And please note, because there is stepwise marking, you will be able to score whatever you are able to, answer. Let's say there are 10 adjustments, and if you are able to do 8 adjustments right, you will score proportionally to that. So no need to worry on that. That is the second thing what I want to highlight. And don't try to experiment in the last 2 months. Because my friend is doing something, my friend is following this note, that note, no, nothing. Focus on what you have been doing and do it the right way. That will help you, attain the, results. Get the certified copies as soon as possible. If required, share it with us. We will give you insight as to where you are not being able to, do properly. So that is broadly from my side. Similar strategies we have discussed earlier also. So, over to the students, and Sriram, you can ask your specific questions. We'll be more than happy.
Guys, before we take questions, thanks, Suraj. Thanks a lot, Suraj, and thanks a lot to all the faculty. So before we take questions from the students, right, I believe there are some very common questions that have been asked already, which I would like to answer first. First one, I think, is about individual chapter series. We'll probably have a sale sometime next week or the early October or sometime. We'll get back to you on that. We don't have a date fixed as yet. Then somebody was asking whether EIS notes is sufficient or our material is sufficient. I am pretty sure the amount of work Anvesh we have put in, the notes is more than sufficient. Material is not. I mean, you read the study material. We have covered it exhaustively in our notes. Okay, so free notes you can download from our website or app. Somebody is asked about law. Where are all the amendments in law? We have uploaded the notes. Please go to our free courses. They're available. What about economics? Economics for finance. What are the amendments? Absolutely. We have an entire list of amendments. There's a playlist, in fact, of economics amendments available on our YouTube channel, and all the amendments are there also available, on our website where you can download the notes. Then somebody's asked law. Yes, couple of updates or whatever amendments the faculty has discussed. The videos are pending. They'll be uploaded in the course of next 2 weeks. Then there was a question, is it required to glance at ICAI books while we are reading it, or for the first revision for theory books, or else IIL books are enough? See, for most of the courses, IIL books are enough. Okay, our notes are more than sufficient. Please go through them. We have concised the books of CA Institute are very, very voluminous. So we have concised them to make them easily understandable, easily rememberable. So please use our material. It is easy to understand. You can finish it fast. Then can we take EIS coaching? If not, can we self-study for EIS? Definitely it is possible. Yes, a lot of people do self-study and it is possible. Then there was a question on how to get exemption in costing. So I think Pranay has covered it, but I'll ask Pranay to respond to that. How to get exemption in costing. I don't know if you can cover it in a minute, because that's a very, it's a very open-ended question, right? So anyway, up to Pranay, and then we'll take other questions from students.
The only way you can get exemption in costing, and me and Suraj, both of us will agree on that, for any practical subject, there is only this much that the institute can give in terms of adjustments or tricks. So the only way to get exemption in costing is, first, there should be a first round of problem solving where you're doing it just for understanding the subject and learning the subject. There, in the first round, you filter out which are the questions which you find it to be difficult, and those trick points which you are not able to do it right the first time. The moment you make an inventory of that, and for all your other revisions, focus on that. There is only this much that the institute can do with you. So if you master that, then absolutely there is no way in which you cannot expect an exemption in any of the practical subjects. Why let it be costing or accounts or anything. So I strongly believe that, and this is something which I have personally followed always when I was doing practicals.
So just to add on to that, one problem, I'll sorry Pranay, if you have not completed, please.
I am done, Suraj, you can please.
Okay, so one thing I want to tell to all the students is, so when I was preparing, I had a problem. The problem is, we feel that ICAI will ask the toughest question from every chapter. when we prepare, we feel that ICI will only pick up the toughest question and they'll compile all the toughest question and they will be, giving us in the examination. It doesn't work that way. As we have been, I'm repeating this because you need to understand that 60-70 marks, whatever is, tested in the examination out of 120, it is made for an average student. So, when we say average student, for, general 80 to 90% of the students, if they have, without preparation, they will not be able to answer. If you have prepared well, if you have understood the concept, you will be able to answer. There will be exceptions. Like during our times, there was an exception that they gave questions from final at inter, but nowadays those things don't happen. Get me a paper where you say that 50 to 60 marks cannot be attempted by someone who has done the syllabus properly. Simple, straightforward questions. So that is where your focus should be. Okay. Once this 50-60 marks is covered, then you focus on the next 20-30 marks, which will help you to reach that exemption. And you look at any cricket match also, everyone will not score hundreds. Someone will score 100, someone will score 50, someone will score 60. That is how your chapter should be there. From this chapter, yes, if the question comes, I'll attempt, I'll get 16 out of 16. From some another chapter, maybe I'll get 8 out of 16. And when you aggregate all of that, then you reach your target score. That is how you have to backwork. And also for the aggregate in your examination. Like I'll tell you on record here, I have scored only 44 marks in ISCA in CA final. I was scared that I might fail also, despite having an All India second rank. First thing I checked was ISCA marks 44, because I was not comfortable with that subject. Maybe I'll have to take lectures from Anvesh again. But then I had other subjects, 60-70 marks, which would add up to the aggregate. So for you also do a proper SWOT analysis. My strong subjects, my weak subjects. Weak subjects, I should at least ensure 45-50 marks. Stronger subjects, 60 to 70 marks. And that's done.
So just to add, even I was able to get an All India rank with just 40 marks in audit. My objective was just to, pass it somehow. And I don't know whether it was given to me or I actually got 40, but then 40 was what it was. So, you accept what your strengths are and work on those strengths. So for me personally, practical subjects was, my strength, and I made sure that, it took me to the other side. And just one more point here. So I have, few students asking, sir, when I'm looking at the question, I'm not able to solve. So what I do is I look at the solution and then close the book and try to solve. See, friends, what, I would want to stress upon here is give yourself that 2 minutes time or time during your preparation in order to, try to be creative and come up with a solution. So there can be at least something, maybe 1, 2, 3 or 4 initial steps, basic workings that you can do. So don't try to approach the practical questions, as an entirety. So don't try to focus on getting the entire solution. Your focus when you're doing, it for the first time should be, am I able to, start with 1 working note or 2 working notes? So that is how you build your confidence, because whether you like it or not in the examination, you will not have the solution to look at it and then start solving. So try to reach those initial couple of steps, and slowly you will, develop that habit of being able to take bolder decisions while solving the answers. So if you doubt yourself, you will not be able to start. So it does not matter during preparation whether your answer is right or wrong. No one is judging you. But just even if it is a wrong solution, try to do it. Try to push yourself till the end. So that is only, how you will develop.
Sure, Pranay. Thanks, Pranay. So next question, I think Anvesh wants to respond how to prepare without coaching for EIS.
Okay, so some of them asked that, can we clear EIS without coaching? All that I want to say is, learning EIS is like learning yoga. So there are certain easy asanas like Padmasana, Shavasana. Those things you can do it on yourself. And then, syllabus get trickier. Then there is Shirsasana. You are supposed to, do legs up, head down, all those things. Now, the touchstone is you start with 3rd chapter of EIS. Okay, that is the basic, the first chapter you need to study. And if you can do the 3rd chapter, then it means that you have a natural likingness towards all the EIS concepts. If you can do by yourself, then I'll say you can pass without coaching. Okay. Now, if you can't do that, and if you feel that you need some help, then I'd say only then you consider coaching. So blindly you don't take up coaching. Start with the 3rd chapter, read on first 20-30 pages. If you can understand it, if you can retain it, and if you can look at the question and you can answer it, then you don't want coaching. But if that doesn't happen, then Coaching is going to simplify it for you. It is going to save your time. That's it. Because you can't mug up that 500 pages book just by memory. It is impossible.
Thanks, Anvesh. Thanks a lot. So I think some of the faculty have to leave. So guys, any of you have questions for Frenil on business economics? On economics for finance, we'll take that. So you can actually unmute yourself and ask Frenil the question. It is not an issue because he has an urgent commitment and he has to leave.
Okay, so in the meanwhile, I'll just take up few other questions which are asked. Mock test paper instructions have been given inside the mock test question papers. You can go through that and you can do it. How much time for questions? The standard rule is 1.8 marks, 1.8 minutes per mark, right? That is what it works out to. And that is how you have to plan. So generally, a suggestion here is for papers which have MCQs, you can actually save time by solving MCQs faster. So those 30 marks, if you can solve it in, let us say 30-35 minutes, you actually get extra time to write other answers. Okay. And always remember in the examination, if you are not able to complete a question, or if you're not able to, answer a theory question, or if you're not able to solve a practical question, don't spend more time to finish that. Leave it and move on to the next question and come back at a later point in time if you have time. Okay. 2 questions well answered will fetch you less marks. 5 questions answered averagely will fetch you more marks. So that is what you need to keep in mind. After a time limit, let's say it's a 16 marks question, you give maximum 30 minutes. If it is not solvable in that period, leave it and move on. Don't think that, because I've already, remember that sunk cost theory from costing. You have spent 30 minutes, leave it there and then move on to the next question. Yogita, there is a question, mandatory to write section numbers in law.
Yeah, so see, at the inter level, it is not mandatory actually that you write every single section number. But if you quote it, of course, you're going to get more marks. It is going to make your answer stand out from the other answers, right? So now when you're going to start studying law, at that time, try focusing on the concepts, try remembering all the provisions, try solving all the questions. Apart from that, if you can create a list of sections for every chapter in sequence, then try to revise it a couple of times. Okay, so if you are able to remember those sections in the examination accurately, write it down. Otherwise, it's absolutely okay if you are not able to write them down. But don't write wrong sections. Okay, that is very important to remember. Otherwise, marks will be deducted, right?
Then somebody's asked, is it compulsory to write the answers in bookish language? Absolutely not. You have to use certain key terms, but beyond that, your normal English is required. Please write in legible. Legible means understandable, readable, simple English with keywords. That is more than sufficient. Most of the examiners will give you marks, or 99.99% of the examiners will give you marks. Okay. Even the examination requirement does not state that they have to use exact replica of what is there in the study material. Okay.
So there is one question on audit, how to score better marks in audit. Now again, audit is a dry subject. It is kind of a boring subject. So we become chartered accountants, and a lot of we are practicing chartered accountants also. But the thing is, when you're talking about audit, you need to see, you can divide the audit entire subject into 3 parts. One is company audit and related items. That is the first part you have to look at it. Then you have the other part around introduction, vouching, verification, and all of those things. And then you have standards. Okay, a lot of standards are directly linked to the chapters. Now, company audit is largely law-based, and standards are also like law. So you have to read them as if you are, learning law or principles which you will be applying when you're doing an audit. Now, to get marks, again, here the key thing is you need to know the provisions or the, what a particular standard is talking about in a particular situation. And so that is one aspect. Again, here you need to start making list of the common points that you need to answer. For example, in almost all the questions related to, let's say, audit of special entities, there you would have there has to be a common charter. So it could be a memorandum of association, it could be a partnership deed, right? Then there is a related law. Then there are things around internal control. So as you start relating the answers or relating the points to the concepts, you will see that there are some common points, and that is what you need to remember. And once you're through with these pointers, and if you can answer, reproduce those pointers in the examination, then you will be able to score good marks. And as far as structure are concerned, when you're answering audit papers, If it is a case-based scenario question, then you can follow the same thing, like, mention the provision, mention the facts, analyze the facts, and give your conclusion. Writing conclusion is very, very important. And don't give general GAN and general knowledge. See, because it's an audit and you think that you can write any general way to do an audit, that will not work. You have to use keywords like professional skepticism. That has to be written. You cannot say the auditor should doubt the auditee. That's not the right way. You have to mention specific keywords: professional skepticism, internal control, the charter or document of the organization or the articles of association. Specific things have to be mentioned, and if possible, write section numbers. If not possible, maybe you can leave it there. But, and another thing for audit also, if you go back and see the past exam papers, you will see a lot of questions are common. They are being repeated, twisted and repeated. Okay, you cannot add more questions because there is limited that can be tested in the examination.
Okay. Next, we have a question from Himanshu, who is asking if it's a 3-mark question and there are 6 points, should we restrict ourselves to three points? No, you should not restrict yourself. You have to please write all the points.
And to give the way the institute awards marks, whenever there are points-based answers, the rule of thumb is 1 mark for 1 point. But it is good if you write 6 points because you'll have covered all the points and you'll get better marks. It will not take much time.
Yes. Then SM, how to remember subheading, Suraj?
So how to remember subheading? One, you can make your own short notes when you are going through the lectures or when you have read our notes. The side headings, see, you can understand something conceptually, but you need to remember. And the problem with SM is there is a big brother called EIS where you have to remember more. So you have to make your own short forms, mnemonics, or flashcards, whatever you can make, and keep revising those. See, how did we remember? Even we had the same fear, right? We had organization management at foundation level. Could not remember anything at all. I had sleepless nights. Only way to remember is keep revising. And again, it is humanly impossible to by heart everything. Okay. So please give yourself that margin of safety that out of 100, I will forget 20 things. It will happen. Once you enter into the examination, once you scan through the question, just see what are the questions and retain only those concepts and forget other concepts. And then you can write the answers. I think that is one thing which can help. Will there be any drawback for articles or if I give only group 2 first? It depends. Like, if you have target, most of the firms, they'll hire once you pass both the groups, the medium size and large size firms. There is no disadvantage or advantage that, you have to do group 2 first or group 1 next. It purely depends on, how you can handle. For May 22, we have a separate session. So we'll be covering up there.
Yeah. Somebody was asking any advice for students doing articles. Guys, it is, you have to do CA along with articles. And if this is your, repetition attempt, you have to wake up 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, study, finish your articles, come back, and then again study. There is no other way out. There is no magic mantra that you drink something, automatically you will remember. There is no magic mantra, please. Everybody has to study. Please, you have to sacrifice. I keep using the word. Please sacrifice a lot. Only then you will achieve. Only then you will enjoy what you have achieved. Okay. And then a couple of more points. 2 groups, 70 days. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Please go to our study planner. Please input the data. Please select your levels of confidence for each subject. It is possible. But if you are planning to say that I don't know anything, my situation is 0, and I want to study everything in 70 days, it is highly impossible. Okay. But if you have already attempted earlier and you have comfort levels on 3 or 4 subjects, definitely it is possible. But if you don't have comfort, if your preparation is 0, then please, it is impossible to write in 70 days unless you are, some kind of a genius person. Okay. So please don't, get that part key. I will start today from 0 and then I will eventually succeed in exams. No, it is not possible. I'm very sorry, being very blunt. Okay. Then economics, is it necessary to give reference to economists and draw graphs in answering theory questions or answering straight to the point? Frenil, you want to take that?
Yeah, just like how in law and auditing, we have section numbers and essay numbers. In economics, we have the name of the economist who has given the particular theory. And there are a couple of names. There are not more than 10 names are there. So we can remember that. So I guess the graph relating to it, you are asking about 2-sector, 3-sector and 4-sector models, where usually and Keynesian theory, where we have graphs involved. I say that first you answer to the point, then the rest of the dressing and decoration you can do later. That is if you have time, because you know whether that is required or not. It depends upon the question, because in economics most of the questions are 2 mark and 3 mark questions. They are not like very large questions which do come. So if you draw a graph, if you because the institute itself has given, right, you can present your answers in a pictorial form for economics or finance, especially when they had initially introduced the syllabus for that. So there is a possibility that you can draw that, and while you draw that, it will be easier for the invigilator to correct that earlier. So let us say that first you answer to the point, and then for as an additional explanation, if you have time, you can come back and you can do the graph and other things can be done. So that will definitely add up to your overall marks.
Okay, so there's one question on how to remove fear of exam. I think everyone had this issue. Everyone has the issue, whether it is the Prime Minister, Sachin, Virat Kohli, anybody, any sport person, everyone has this fear of performance. Because for Sachin or for Virat Kohli, for this generation, the fear is to win. If there is a fear of performance, they have to win. Everyone has that. Now you have to channelize this fear into the right direction, and you can, remove the fear only by facing it. If you do not face it, you will not be able to remove. Right. I have gone through, I know all of the, co-faculties, they would have gone through. I remember, ending up forgetting things like cash flow in the examination. Right. I had done, but I had forgotten to, because of fear. It is there, but you have to acknowledge this, there is fear. Maybe, practice meditation, maybe practice yoga, spend some time in silence. And see, the amount of importance that you give will decide the fear that you have. If you feel that this CA inter examination is my life, then you will feel, the most fearful thing that is happening. But then you have to understand this is only a part of your life. As you move further in future, if we look back 10 years now, you would be fearful even before 10th examination. You would be fearful even before the 12th examination, right? You were fearful maybe even in foundation examination. Ho gaya na? Things have passed by. This will also pass by. Formula difficult to remember, you have to revise. You have to make up, print those, write those formulas, keep it in front of you. Whichever formula you are not able to remember, every day make it a point, 10 minutes you will spend with that formula, and you'll remember.
Somebody asked, starting from zero is impossible. Does it mean not watch classes? Yes, I mean not watch classes. If you've already watched the classes and made notes and have notes, then it is definitely possible. But if you've not attended anything, starting now is what I meant as not possible.
Yeah.
Okay,
for mock test, you can submit your answers. It will be evaluated and it will be sent back with feedback. Yep. First time study for group 2 is possible. You can definitely manage it by putting extra efforts. If you have only group 2.
Yes.
If you have both the groups, then please forget it that you'll write both the groups in upcoming attempt. We don't want to give you false assurances.
Yep. There's a question for Anvesh. Will flowcharts get us full marks rather than writing paragraphs for some questions? Anvesh, you want to take that?
See, yeah, if you do the flowchart properly, you will get full marks. If you write the paragraph answer properly, you will get the full marks. So the mode question is you need to attempt what you are more comfortable with. And I'd say if there is if given a chance, I would say select the flowchart. If it is right from study material or the materials that we have given you, and if you have revised it already, directly go for the flowchart because they can't take away any marks from that. But if it is a new question that institute is asking and you are not very sure about the outcome of it, then I'd say that go with the theoretical answer, not the flowchart.
Okay,
thanks.
So there's a question on schedule for preparation. So schedule of preparation. I think they can generate it from the website. Customized, yes. It is available. If you have there's a question, I'm verge of completion of first revision. Should I proceed with second revision or give mock test? I think you should give one mock test, evaluate yourself, and accordingly plan for your second revision. Right.
Couldn't generate a plan. Reach out to us on our WhatsApp number. We'll help you out.
Yeah. Okay. We'll help you out how to set those dates and all properly.
Yes. Correct. Then somebody asked, what is that? How to revise concepts 1.5 days before the exam. You have to have your short notes. You have to have your own notes, what you create in this next 60-70 days. Please don't go for last day revision short notes by XYZ faculty. And then on that day, start revising it. That is even if you can put it very crudely, that is the greatest disservice you are doing to your own preparation. You have to make your own notes. You have to revise from your notes, because when you read a line, you will remember something what you studied when you wrote the line. So please make your own short notes and read them 1.5 days before the exam. Please don't do any new inventions and discoveries 1.5 days before exam.
So just to add on to that, one approach which worked for me, again, see, one thing is the strategy planning is different for different people with different, approaches and all. One thing which worked for me was, my approach used to be, I used to take, let us say there are 10 chapters. Out of those 10 chapters, 5 chapters I'm comfortable with. Okay. Those 5 chapters I used to complete the day I used to come back from the first exam. Let's say I come back from accounting for the next paper. I would take up those 4 or 5 chapters which are easy, and I used to run through them. And the next full day, I used to focus on the chapters which I found difficult. See, for everybody, there are difficult chapters, easy chapters. Take those chapters and give more attention to that, because easier chapters anyways you will be able to remember. Like for example, you don't need to break your head on AS1 and AS2 if you're talking about accounting, because it's simple and straightforward. But at the same time, can I ignore AS22? No, I cannot ignore AS22 because there are tricky adjustments. So like this, you have to make a call, and then you can do it.
In fact,
somebody is asking, are there 1 week free classes? Just a minute, Shivteja. I'll hand it over to you. Somebody is asking, are there 1 week free classes? I'm not sure. We're not thought of anything about it. Whenever there is an update, we will let you know. But as of now, there is nothing planned for that. Over to you, Shivteja.
Yeah, in fact, just to add on what Suraj sir was saying, that's an absolute true fact actually. I also have done the same thing of preparation in terms of 1.5 days, which will actually work a lot. And that day when you write the exam or previous exam, and that half day time what you get, let's say you come back in the evening at 6 o'clock to the home, that half day time what you get is extremely important. Don't miss out at any cost. That's very important for you.
And don't make the mistake of, evaluate. I did that mistake. So I'm telling out of my mistake. Costing CA Inter, I screwed up. Everybody screwed up. Next day, the attendance was half. That was the level of question which was given. I wasted that evening thinking about what will happen. I have done this mistake. I have done that mistake. And I wasted those 6 hours. And problem was, so we used to have income tax after costing the next day. I lost the time where I would have completed, the 5 heads of income. So once faculty mentioned the other day also, once you come back from the examination, take the paper, lock it. Don't discuss with your friends. Leave the examination hall as soon as possible. I wrote it this way, you wrote it right, I wrote it wrong. Forget it. I'll tell you examples where my friend, he said, I did not do a paper well and he did not prepare for remaining papers. He ended up clearing that entire exam with 200 out of 400 marks. But he was like upset. I did not write well. I did not. So this, you have to get out of this self-doubt. You have to have proper, positive, confident self-talk. Don't keep on doubting yourself. No, we have screwed up. We have done this mistake. We have done that mistake. Focus on things you have done right. And that will, I think, set the positive tone for your examination.
So I have some questions for income tax, which I'll give on to Shivteja. But before that, how many days to devote per subject for second and third revision? Maximum 2 to 3 days per subject, not beyond that. You anyway have only 74 days. So I don't think you can put more than that. Maximum 2 days. Some subjects, if you're very comfortable, finish in 1 day. In EIS, can we skip any revision? I don't think any chapter can be skipped. Anvesh, no skipping, right?
No. So the skipping you can do in your gym, nowhere else.
Then on Shivteja, we'll pass it on to you. What are the key things that you have to remember for income tax in terms of any key exam, any topics or any kind of weightage or anything that you think students should be aware of?
See, prima facie, the major focus in income tax is all with respect to the 5 heads of income and also the provisions of the TDS and TCS at the CA Inter level. So it is very, very important that those areas of the 5 heads of income, and it's brutal fact which we all know that one question will come for sure from PGBP, one question will come from gross total income. These things, especially when a subject like income tax, we all know very clearly what will come in the exam. The only thing what is required is in terms of the practice. Especially practice is very, very important. That revision in terms of practicing is something which is very important, which has to be done at any cost. And there cannot be any compromise in terms of the practice. And income tax, one thing I want to highlight here. See, I always be surprised when students keep asking, sir, should I learn this amendment? This amendment will apply for me or not? My friend told this amendment will apply for me. One simple approach I'll tell you. The year in which you write exam, that year Finance Act, that year's budget will not apply to you. So if you're writing in 2021 Finance Act will not apply to you. Simple. This is all you need to remember. So don't listen to anybody. This is a simple answer and simple fact. Yeah. And
there is a question on presentation. See, for presentation, you have to write mock tests. You have to go back to previous exam papers. I think we have been repeating this a lot of times, but it is important because only then you will know what kind of questions are being tested in the examination.
Yeah, there's one question with respect to GST. Do we have to remember all the forms in GST and income tax? When I say forms, I mean, I'm sure you're talking about the income tax ITR forms or GSTR 1, 3B and all. It's always important that you know these form numbers. And in fact, there are not much really more of form numbers involved there. When you write an answer along with form number and section number, as Yogita mentioned, section number writing and form number writing will definitely have an impact in terms of the presentation, what you're doing in the exam. That will definitely have a value-add advantage in terms of the presentation, what you're doing. See, ultimately, guys, one thing is very clear. We all are talking, I mean, all the faculties who are there here right now, we all are talking with you, discussing with you for all the 3 hours exam, what you're going to write. So that 3 hours will judge your marks, what you're going to get in the exam. So when we say all this, your preparation, all those things are on one part of the story. Other part of the story is very clear that in that 3 hours, you perform your best. And I'm sure most of you would have watched your Check Day movie where that Shah Rukh Khan keeps saying that your minutes of your match, what you play, should be the best match what you ever played in your life. In the same manner, it's very important that the 3 hours of your time should be the best optimum utilization. That's very important. So a presentation will make a whole difference. If you say that I know a concept, but if you don't present it, it's of no use. That's why it's very important you present the answer in the best manner along with the form numbers and section numbers. And to add on the last point here, CA final also you have got your taxation, income tax 100 marks, GST 100 marks. And there section numbers are mandatory, no escape at all. So here if you do that in a better manner, it will act as a value added for your CA final also along with your articulture.
So we have just the last 2 questions I'll take, guys, because we have exceeded the time. One question is,
Sriram, if I may.
Studies while reading the concept. Yes, you can analyze. If you know the subject, as you are reading, please underline. Please underline, mark, write comments. Those are all the things. And please utilize the first initial 10 to 15 minutes that you get when you receive a paper. Please utilize that. Don't start, looking here and there or thinking how some problem is difficult. Please use the 15 minutes time that you get very, very wisely. Somebody says they're unable to complete a paper. Please write marks. The only solution is writing marks. You write 3 marks, you know where you're making mistakes. Okay, then so can you take the examination survey? Yes, we will come back to that, but we'll probably try and do that closer to it. Then somebody else asked, they cannot remember subsections. So I think as Yogita already mentioned, sections itself, if you write is good. So if you want to write subsection, if you know only the section number and not the subsection number, what is the feedback, Yogita? What do you suggest?
Yeah, so it's okay if you're not able to remember the subsections. It's okay. Sections is enough because you're at the CA inter level, no? So it's okay. You don't have to focus that much on subsections.
Sure. There are a couple of last 2 questions which are on how to plan. There are last 2 questions on how to plan revision and how to make a study planner and all that. Please visit our website or app. There is a study planner tab. Click that, fill up the data. If you have any problem, messages on chat or messages on our WhatsApp number, and we will help you create a study plan for you. Okay. Some 141 3D. Okay. So guys, so we'll conclude the session here. It has been a fairly interactive session. We would ideally want you guys to ask more questions. Next session we'll have for May 22 attempt students. So, in that time, we'll probably discuss something more for May 22, guys. But for now, please remember the things that we've told you initially. I hope some of you have made notes. If you have not made the notes, this video is available on YouTube. Please go there, watch it. Again, I'm repeating, sacrifice. You have to work hard. We cannot work, hard for you. Sorry, I don't have faculty's numbers. You need not have faculty numbers. No, you can post on forums on our app and we will respond. All the faculties are available on forums. We will respond there. Okay. So I think we can conclude the session here. Thanks a lot, students. Thanks a lot, faculty, for joining. All the very best to all of you.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. All the best. Relax. Things will be better. Good luck.
Good
Good luck.
Thank you guys. All the very best. Wish you all success.
All the best.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.